engineers do it.
Before we start today's video, I would like to ask all my viewers to subscribe to my YouTube channel How Engineers Do It. So share the video among all of your friends and also hit the bell icon to never miss another update.
Hello friends, this is Mohammed Shakil here from How Engineers Do It. I passed my PMP exam last month, that is July 2021, and I thought I would share with you some insights and whatever which has helped me to get this PMP certification. So I'll be sharing with you the study materials which I used, the study strategy, and some exam recommendations. So before we begin, let's just look at the certification and the exam report. This exam report which you receive just after you complete the exam, and if you've gone for the center, then they will give this printout to you. So you can see that I've scored above target on all the domains. So let's just begin with the study materials which I used. So whatever you can see here, these are all the study materials which I used. So you can pretty much Google all of this and you'll be able to get it, except for the ITTO mapping, which I'll be talking about in detail. So study strategy. So the first thing which you need to understand is you have to understand the overall process flow. Instead of trying to get in detail for each of this 49 processes, you need to understand the logical flow of the processes. So leave the details, understand whys of each processes, right? So now once you understand, for example, you start with develop project charter. So why do you develop project charter? It is to authorize a project. Now next one, that is identify stakeholders. So you just write down all the 49 processes and then you try to write the why. Why do you have that process? What's the main reason behind that process? So just like that, you can write them down. So in my case, I've just written them down like whys for each processes. Just like this, you could do for all the 49 processes. All right. Now, the next thing you need to do is you need to recollect each of these processes and map them out in the table, right? Just like this. You can see create project charter, then identify stakeholders, then create project management plan. So you got to remember each of these processes. So when you remember whys of each of these processes, it'll be easy for you to remember this each of these processes in order, and it'll be easy for you to recollect them. So now this is a basic map which you need to have throughout your preparation of PMP. So you need to always remember this, and you need to be able to recollect and memorize this in a logical way, not like you're mugging up things, right? And also you need see the first thing you have to logically understand is this: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing. All right. Now, once you have this, then you need to remember that the integration comes first, scope, schedule, cost. So this order is something which you can remember using some kind of a sentence, right? So what I've used is I'm sure my second name is Shakil can qualitatively recollect. Okay. Then what I remembered is groups, GRPS. So this is how I remembered. If you want, you can use the same thing. I'm sure Shakil can qualitatively recollect groups, right? Now I is for integration, S is for scope, then the next S is for schedule, cost, quality, resources. Now GRPS. So just remember G as C, right? C R P S. Now this is communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder. So if you have this, then it'll be easy for you to remember each of these process flows. So let me be honest over here. I never thought that I would be remembering all of these 49 processes, but when I understood the whys of each of these processes, it made me automatically to think this process is in a logical order, right? And I suggest that you also go through this PM Master Prep ebook by Scott Payne, where it'll be easy for you to logically remember the 49 processes. He also has added some case studies, which will be more interesting for you to go and read, right? So that's the second one, that is to recollect and map out all the 49 processes in table. Now after you do that, now once you're comfortable with this, now the next thing you have to do is understand all the tools and techniques which have been used in these processes. Now you can understand these tools. You can just for example, alternative analysis. Now alternative analysis, once you understand what alternative analysis is, you can make out that alternative analysis can be used in define scope, estimate activity duration, estimate cost, plan risk responses. So all these places you can use alternative analysis, right? So it's like you're just determining which one is good, right? So for example, in define scope, determining multiple potential approaches to meet each requirement. So you're trying to see, okay, which approach is better. Now that's alternative analysis. Now if you will have a question about that, then you will remember that it's alternative analysis. Now you have to make connections. It's if you don't make connections, then you're going to see alternative analysis in define scope, and then you just go in detail over there, and then you forget the whole thing by the time you reach maybe estimate cost, and again you see alternative analysis. So you're going to get confused. So you have to have an overall view, like an eagle view on these topics, right? So that's my next tip. Now the next one is study by learning the differences. So this really helped me. So whenever I go through some kind of a tool or a technique, I see that burn up and burn down chart. Now initially I was thinking, okay, burn up and burn down chart is pretty much the same thing, but when you just type burn up versus burn down, you get a lot of contents on YouTube, or maybe in Google search, or some kind of a blog, which explains you what burn up is and what burn down is, what are the different applications of both. So learning by learning the differences is really going to help you to remember the concepts very well. Now finally, another thing which I want to highlight is to relate the concepts. For example, in a Tuckman's ladder, now you see it has a forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Now this is pretty much the same thing which happens when you start a new team, right? You first get to know each other, then when you start working, you'll have some problems and issues, then you kind of get an understanding between each other and try to deliver things together. Then you perform very well, and finally you just adjourn, you go back, or you join another project or something. So it's important that you relate the concepts to your real life, and that's going to also help you to prepare well, right? So that's all about the study strategy. And one thing which I was wanted to come back is whenever you want to know some processes, or for example, change request. Now you want to see where change request is an input for which process, change request is an output for which process. So you can create an ITTO mapping I've done for myself, which over here you can see input. Let's say input as change request. Now if I just put input as change request, now input as change request is happening only for perform integrated change control. Now I'm just gonna clear the filter, and now I'm gonna see output, approved change request. Now approved change request is the output of perform integrated change control. Now if I just clear it, and if I see approved change request as an input, now approved change request is an input for which all processes: direct and manage project work, control procurement, control quality. So this way, this tool also helps to try to map out things when you have confusions. This table pretty much tells you a lot of stories of how you can remember things, right? Yeah, that's what it is. Now Yeah. One thing I wanted to talk about PM Box 6 is I suggest that you use PM Box 6 as a guide, right? As a main guide for you to learn or when you have a doubt. So how I have used it is I try to go through different contents, whether it be Joseph Phillips Udemy contents or whether it is a PM Master Prep. And when I get some doubt, I go back to PM Box guide. I type them by pressing the Control F button, and I search and I find that particular topic and I read more about it. So PMBOK has more detailed content on each topic. So it is to be used as a guide pretty much, right? And Agile Practice Guide, it's very important that you have a very good read on it. And also there is a Agile section for in the Udemy content of Joseph Phillips. You can also go through that, and that also has pretty much good content on Agile, right? And very important, you need to understand the Agile roles and the Agile ceremonies and the servant leadership. All these are very important in the exam, right? Yes, and what else did I miss? So yeah, I've pretty much covered everything, I think. Now I'll just go to the exam recommendations. Now, the exam is one thing before I talk anything here is how much ever you prepare for the exam, it's very important that you practice writing exams. And it's very important that you do a time management when you practice for the exams, right? Now, the exam is of 230 minutes and which is of 180 questions. There is a 10-minute break between each 60 questions, which means you will have two breaks, right? Now, I'll tell you how you can use that 10 minutes of break, what I have done by watching some other expert videos. Now, you get approximately 76.6 seconds or 1.27 minutes to answer a question. Now, don't go for this 0.27, right? You just set your expectation that you have to complete a question within a minute. Because what happens is we are all humans, right? Now, when we complete a 10 or 15 question, your eyes are gonna get tired or you're gonna feel tired, right? So there will be some kind of a drag. Maybe you're gonna take 2 minutes for a question later, right? So in order to catch up with that, it's always good that you just practice to complete one question in a minute, right? And if you think you're taking more than 1.5 minutes for a question, just select the closest answer for that question and just move on, right? So that's the best thing to do, because it's very important that you write the exam till the end, right? You face all the 180 questions. It should not be like you have spent 5 minutes for so many questions, and in the end you're just spending 5 seconds or 10 seconds for the last 20 or 30 questions, which probably will lead for you to fail the exam, right? Now, calculate your velocity. This is very important. I've done this during my exam. This tip wasn't there mentioned in any of the points. I've done it for myself and it really worked out. Because what happens is when you start writing the exam, the clock starts ticking. The clock is usually over here. It shows 230 minutes and it goes backwards, right? Now, let's say you're at 205 minutes and you're at the question 20, right? You will be more focusing on the exam and the question, and you'll have less focus on the time. That's usually the case, right? But it's always good when you hit 20 questions, just see where you are. What's your speed? Are you catching up? Are you catching up with the required speed, or are you slowing down? This will actually give you a boost, right? What happens if you don't calculate in every 20 questions, or if you're just seeing at 60 questions, you're far behind, right? Then it'll be very difficult for you to catch up and finish till the end. So it's always good that every now and then, if you're slowing down, you have to speed up. So that actually helped me. Now, you can see I've just put a simple calculation which I have used, that is number of questions and the number of minutes. So here you can see 0.8, right? So ideally it should be 1, right? So every time you calculate, it's very simple. Don't worry about this calculation if it's disturbing you. Every time you calculate your velocity, just aim that how much ever you have covered the questions, it's that much number of minutes that you have that you have crossed, right? Yeah. Now finally, just remember that you are a servant leader, right? And you're emotionally intelligent, because most of the questions will be based on that concept that you will always think like a servant leader, and you're always emotionally intelligent. So if you keep that mindset, that's really going to help you in your exam. So that's it all about in this video. And a couple of things which I've shown, for example, the notes which I've made, and the ITTO, the mapping, you'll not be finding this on internet. So if you're interested to get it, just write to me in email, katia.pro.user@gmail.com, and I'll get in touch with you. All right, so that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I wish you all the best for your PMP exam. Thank you, and stay tuned.